Chemistry Higher Paper 2024, question 6. All right, we've got a lovely titration question here. First of all, we have to do some rinsing out of our equipment. We have to explain what effect having traces of water in the pipette and the conical flask would be after rinsing. So the pipette, first of all, remember we should be rinsing the pipette with the solution that's going to be in there. Because if you've got any water in there, then that's going to change the concentration of anything that you then take into the pipette. So your 2 marks for the pipette section would be water makes the barium hydroxide solution more dilute or less concentrated. This would decrease the volume of acid in the titration because you don't need as much to neutralize it. In the conical flask, any water present would not affect the amount of barium hydroxide present. So yes, it wouldn't be as concentrated, but that's not actually what's being measured in the conical flask. We're talking about the number of moles of barium hydroxide, and that's why I can use the word amount correctly there. Remember, amount refers to number of moles. So it's not going to affect the amount, and so therefore there is no effect on the titration. Okay, part B then. We've got a few drops of phenolphthalein indicator added to the barium hydroxide solution. We had to give the colour change. Remember, in an alkali, that barium hydroxide is pink or magenta, and then it is colourless when it's in acid. And then we had a 2-mark ionic equation for the neutralization reaction that occurs. Here's the thing, folks, for your neutralization equations, they are always the same. You end up cancelling out lots of spectator ions if you take the long route round, but you always end up with this ionic equation at the end of everything. Okay, so here you would get 1 mark for the left-hand side being correct and 1 mark for the right-hand side being correct. So 2 marks available for that. Just learn that ionic equation for all neutralization reactions. And then question C, it to describe an experiment to obtain a sample of pure dry barium sulfate from the contents of this flask. So we've got a white precipitate. Remember that a precipitate means you've made a solid. So this should be shouting out at you straight away to filter it because you've got a liquid and you've got a solid. So 1 mark for filter it. And then your 2nd mark for either wash the precipitate or leave to dry in a warm place, or any other relevant drying method specifically about drying. You couldn't get either of these marks if you didn't have filtering. So you had to get the filtering bit first. So 3 marks total: filter, wash it, dry it. That's question 6.